Hey kids, it's Mr. Hammond, and I'm going to teach you a new way to approach multiple choice questions. So this is called the Briks method, and it's pretty simple. It involves a lot of steps, but the idea is to teach you these steps now, and hopefully you'll kind of internalize them over time, and then in the future you won't need to go through each of the steps. You'll just automatically do it without any instruction. So the first step here is to block the answers, because oftentimes we get confused when we see the possible answers. We focus more on the answers than we do the actual question, and then we don't answer what the question is asking. So first of all, I'm going to take my hand, and I'm going to block the answers. And the next step is going to be reading and restating the question. So I'm going to read the question. Christopher wanted to learn more about Ganymede, one of Jupiter's moons. Now, I don't even know how to pronounce that correctly. So I'm just going to ignore it at this point and restate it, saying Christopher wanted to learn more about one of Jupiter's moons. Which of the following sources of information would be Christopher's best choice? So I'm going to tell you right now that name for the moon is there to kind of like throw us off, to make us think about the name more than what the question's asking. So I'm going to reread it again and then think about what is this question asking me. Christopher wanted to learn more about one of Jupiter's moons. Which of the following sources of information would be Christopher's best choice? So really, if I restate the question, I'm just looking for how do I research Jupiter's moons or one of Jupiter's moons? What's my best type of information? So now that I've kind of got an idea of what this question's asking, I'm going to go to step 3, which is called info you know. Basically, what do I already know about this information that we've talked about in class? Well, I know that scientists deal mainly in fact, so they're not dealing with opinion. So I know right off the bat that probably any answer they give me that deals with opinion, I can eliminate or get rid of. So I want my answer to be based in facts. So something to deal with science, some type of newspaper maybe, or magazine or article on the internet that deals with a science organization. Now I know it's talking about Jupiter's moons, which means it's out in space, so astronomy would be something to think about as well. So now that I've kind of gathered some information together, I'm going to do the next thing. I'm going to actually uncover the answers, and this next step, the K, is for kicking out the losers. So I'm going to try to find those loser answers, those answers that are just there to throw me off. They have no real relation to the question. So right off the bat, A, his friends. Yeah, like my friends are going to know the answer to this? They're going to be experts on one of Jupiter's moons? Probably not. So I can get rid of answer A right off the bat. So I'm going to look at the next one, a local newspaper. It's a newspaper. It could be credible, so I'm going to keep that one open. C, a neighborhood survey. Well, that might work if I actually had an astronomer in the neighborhood, but the chances of having one of those in my neighborhood are probably pretty slim. Not to mention there's probably a lot of people out there who don't know much about Jupiter's moons, so C does not seem likely. And then last is D, a university's astronomy webpage. Well, that kind of hits two things I was thinking about earlier. It's got the word astronomy in, and I know that Jupiter's moon is going to be dealing with astronomy, and it's a university, so that's pretty credible. So now I'm going to select my best answer, or the winner. In this case, I got to go with D, because it kind of hits two of the things I was looking for. It's a university, so it's credible, and it's astronomy, which is dealing with outer space. So my answer is going to be D. So remember, when you're first looking at the question, you want to block the answers with your fingers or with something, so that you don't get confused by all the possible answers, because again, sometimes kids focus too much on the answers and not on what the question's asking. The second thing you want to do, the R in Briks, stands for rereading and restating. So you want to read the question more than once. Sometimes it takes 3 or 4 times just to get it kind of in your head and figure out what it's asking. And then you want to restate it in your own words. So that means simplifying it so it makes sense to you. The I stands for the info you know. This is the chance for you to recall what we've talked about in class. Try to recall any information that we've talked about in class or that you've learned at school that's going to help you answer this question. The fourth step is to kick out the losers. Most multiple choice questions have some answers that just don't make sense. They're trying to just confuse you. They either don't relate to the question or they don't answer the question well. You want to get rid of those and eliminate them. Get rid of them. Get it down to 2 questions that you know or 2 answers that could be correct. That way you get a 50-50 chance of being successful. And then the very last step is to select your winner. That's the point where you've done as much work as you can, you pick the best answer possible, and you move on. Don't get caught up in one question. It's not worth it. After all, if you miss it, you miss it. But at least if you've gone through these steps, you've done the best you can to answer it correctly. Hopefully this will help you be more successful in future multiple choice questions on tests. Thanks.
Made with Doodlecast Pro.